Captain Amit Singh, who's a pilot and also an aviation blogger, is with us on the broadcast. Captain Singh, thank you so much for speaking to us. With the preliminary details that we have, the accident does not look good. Tell us, what can we expect from here on? The rescue and relief operations are underway right now. How will this really follow on from here? The Chinese media is expected to put out the details as and when they emerge?
Well, the first thing that the airline does is it creates a black site, which means it turns the website black, indicating that they have lost an aircraft. Further, they will start putting out information, details about the passengers, the names of the passengers, so that the next of the family members are aware of who all are there. Because at many times, we have seen the Ethiopian Airlines also, that people who had booked on the aircraft did not board the aircraft actually. So first they have to confirm who all have actually boarded, then verify and put out the list. The family assistance program starts immediately, which means informing the next of kin and assisting them in their psychological needs, in getting to terms with their loss and how to grieve, etc. From the technical point of view, of course, there is always an investigation to find out the root causes of the investigation. At the end of the investigation, all have to tie up together, which means we can't leave one aspect behind, that the survivability of the accident or the reason for the accident or the compensation. So everything has to come to a closure. People need closure after an accident. So that is the main objective of an accident. People need to know why it happened and what happened. How did their family members, what was the position of the aircraft? How did they meet with the earth? I had written a blog about an accident, and I got a comment from one of the family members from US that, could you tell me what my mother would be feeling at that point of time before impact? So people have a lot of questions. So they need closures. So that is why, from the psychological point of view and human factors point of view, it is very important to address all these. Technical can always come by later.
It's very important that you're pointing out all those human aspects, because as you rightly say, that's the first concern of the family members. We're hoping that there are survivors. It doesn't look to be good. But talking about Boeing 737, Captain Amit Singh, what exactly do we know about Boeing 737? What kind of aircraft this is? What are the safety features? What is the history of this aircraft?
Well, the Boeing 737 is the mainstay of the Boeing Airlines. But of course, it has a checkered history. Boeing 737 from the beginning has had a number of accidents in the 1970s with United Airlines, US Airways, right down till Singapore, the Silk Air crash. Those were due to known design defects. So there have been a number of issues pertaining to the regulatory aspect, the design aspect, and because it is an industry driven by commercial, so they need profits to generate. And people would have seen a number of documentaries, movies about this. So safety is slowly pushed to the back and commercial takes over. So that is when shortcuts in production and safety happen. And Boeing, as I said, they had a history of known design defects in the rudder of the 737. The TWA 747 accident happened when the main tank blew up, the fuel tank, which the courts have said that Boeing was aware of this. But the whole issue is that if you want to change a part in a Boeing, you have to change it worldwide, which means delays and compensation to all the airlines. So would you like to continue the operations taking some amount of risk, or rather spend a lot? So it is about safety is always about perception. How do you seek safety?
Captain Singh, I'm also very curious as a flyer, as a person who commutes. You're saying that there are known design defects, and you also point out how difficult is it to fix the defects of Boeing 737. It requires a complete overhaul within the system of the planes which are operating. How widely used they are in the present aviation market, and with these concerns really known, what has the aviation industry or the technology sector really done to address them?
Well, it is basically with the regulator.
Yeah.
And the regulator who certifies the Boeing is the FAA. So there are certain code documents which have come up after 2019, which say that initially Boeing had an immunity to known design defects from a third party. But that was overturned by the court, saying that since Boeing is a manufacturer, they cannot pass on the responsibility to a third party. We have seen it in the 787 where we had battery fires in the power unit behind the auxiliary power unit.
Yeah.
But Boeing's reaction was that it was Yuasa Battery which was manufacturing the battery. We didn't manufacture. But of course, it comes to the quality point of view that you have to do quality checks. And further on, the FAA was also given a rap that you don't have adequate oversight. So the whole issue of the 737 MAX has opened up a can of worms right till 1970s. So how easy is it to trust Boeing is the question right now, even though there are the maximum 737 deployed in the whole around the globe. Another big example would be the Aloha Airlines accident in which the whole cabin top flew off. That was again the issue of quality and maintaining the quality standards.
Sure.
So Boeing can sell an aircraft, but how does Boeing ensure or assure that quality is maintained? So that is the question. What is the follow-up? So the regulators have to have an oversight and a good grasp, which means the technical knowledge. They cannot keep going to Boeing asking for answers to their queries. They should have their own expertise.
Absolutely.
That is how you can have good audits.
Captain Amit
and
Singh, you very rightly point out the need for some kind of structural governance and regulatory mechanisms. Boeing 737 has had a history of multiple problems, and that continues. We're hoping that in this very, very disturbing accident that has happened in China, there are survivors, the rescue and relief operations are underway, and we'll